Today I'm working on an Echo CS370. This saw has been sitting for a few years and of course doesn't run or start. I'll take you through the process of diagnosing and repairing it. Fuel tank is empty. Does not smell great. Air filter looks new. Spark plug looks new. And as far as last run condition, that looks pretty good. Let's take a look at what the inside of the cylinder looks like. Looks very good in there. Pull starter's not very happy. That's a nice compression reading. Let's check spark. That looks excellent. Let's see if this old primer bulb still works. Alright, broke. Let's replace that primer bulb. When you're replacing primer bulbs, pay attention to the fittings. There is a short fitting, that's the intake side, and then a long fitting, which is the outlet back to the fuel tank side. One of the hoses didn't come out with the primer bulb, but that was the hose that was on the outlet side. I'll see if I can fish that other hose out of there. I'm using a pair of needle nose pliers to hold that hose from behind. See if I can hold it in position and get it to stab on. Looks like it's going to go on. Looks like that worked. And it's pumping up nicely. No leaks inside the saw. Time for a test run. I need to fix the pull starter before I do any test starting. Well, let's figure out why this won't retract. Looks like that spring is completely shot. I've had to just leave the starter as it was, and I just loosened up that white pawl. This is one of those assist starters, and that spring is so damaged that the starter's not going to work until I replace it. But let's see if we can get it to run. So it won't take throttle. It likes to have the crankcase re-wetted with the choke, and then it'll run for a minute. It's very oily inside the starter area. That's an indication that crankcase seals are leaking. It's a bit of a teardown in order to do a vacuum and pressure test on this saw. So I'm going to order seals for it because there's a similar amount of teardown. I'm going to turn up the high and low mixture screws for a second, see if that helps. We'll re-wet the crankcase, and it'll die because now it's had enough fuel, it's sort of flooded. Put the choke back in. That starter's just a wreck. leaky crankcase. Alright, let's get some parts ordered. Parts are arrived, so it's time to disassemble the saw and replace those seals and reseal that engine pan. The next step is to remove the carburetor. This frame needs to come off. I'll take the kill wires here away from the coil. Top handle comes off with this screw. The throttle rod is just being pushed on, so that's now free to come out. And we'll take off these fuel hoses. This hose right here is the return to the fuel tank. So it goes on the longer fitting on the primer bulb. Let me release pressure in the fuel tank so it'll stop leaking. See how that works. And then the hose that is suction from the tank through the carburetor. And then we'll leave the rod in place and unhook it from the carburetor over here. I'm going to put a screw in that fuel hose so it doesn't continue leaking. We now have choke lever, just unhooks, and then this screw for the air filter frame, followed by the two large screws that go through the carburetor. The carburetor can now be removed. We'll take the engine pulse hose off of it. I want to be careful with how I remove that so that I don't damage it. Give it a little push here, get it going. And this is the fuel supply hose from the fuel tank. Can also give that one a little push. There's a paper gasket here. We'll be renewing this. Because this intake frame slides up out of the housing, it'll come out with the engine. So for now I'm going to leave it in place. I don't want to damage that boot, and I don't want to break this frame by prying it away. And there's not much space between the frame and the cylinder head for leverage or to collapse that boot without damaging it. So it'll come out with the entire engine. I'll remove the top handle next. The engine area of the chainsaw needs to be removed from the handle area of the chainsaw, so I'll release these bushings. There's a slotted screw down in there. These rear holders for the suspension system take an Allen. The two housings from the chainsaw can be separated. top of the fuel hoses go with the rear housing. And there's where the fuel tank vent lives. The engine mounting screws are now accessible. The clutch and sprocket and oiler need to be removed from the side of the engine. Make some access here by removing the chain guard. Sometimes there's an orientation on these washers, so pay attention to that in case there is. Always inspect your little cage bearing. Not uncommon to get a bunch of crud wrapped around them, depending on how the saw is used. Lots of twigs and sticks packed into this one. There's a spacer washer behind the assembly. We'll take the oil pump out now. Getting close to being able to release the engine, so I'll give this a little pull and rotation, and I should be able to get the boot to pass through safely now. The engine can now be rotated slightly, and it will come out. I'll get this flywheel off next. That's a 12mm socket on that nut. Flywheel knocker is a good tool for removing these. See if I can do it old school. Use the engine's weight and smack it with a hammer here on that nut. Success. So that's one of the seals we have to replace. There is the pan, and there is the other seal. The challenge with this engine is they mount the oil pump drive right onto the crankshaft, and that has to be slid off. With the pan bolt out, the pan can now be freed. Here we go. So that's the exhaust side of the piston. Looks great. Intake side looks good. A little bit of scuffing right there, but all the factory ridges are still in. Looks good. I'm trying to come up with a way to carefully remove that oil pump driver. So I'm going to use this incorrect Posi-Lock 3-jaw, grab onto the bearing with two of the claws until the bearing comes up enough that I can get the third claw in. I've got an impact socket here, so the push is on the shank of the crankshaft and not on the threaded end, because I don't have a way to protect the threaded end, or because I'm working at an angle here, which is very incorrect for pulling. There's no way to have the puller touch the crankshaft that wouldn't damage those reverse threads. So let's see if I can just hand tighten slowly and get that bearing to move. And I think I have enough distance created that I can get all three jaws to hook in. So I'll back the puller off and reconnect it. Now that I can put a square direction of pressure on it, I can push against the crankshaft threaded end, even though I hate doing that. This puller does have a little centering crown in it, a little pointed area. So let's see how things continue to move. Nice. Open the jaws back up here and get the puller out. There we go. I purchased a spare one of these because I figured I would wind up damaging it somehow. It's got a little nick in the threads right there, which would wreck a boiler drive, so I'll just replace it. I used my special inner bearing race tapping tool, also known as a scrunch, to set that bearing back down against the crankshaft. Bearings are nice and quiet. I hated grabbing this bearing from the outside and pulling on it because that's a great way to damage this inner race. And I was successful.